Hey, yo. Wow. I try to tell y'all, but y'all don't want to listen. Anthony Joshua gets knocked out by Daniel Dubois viciously. It was a vicious knockout, yo. What can I say? Congrats to Daniel Dubois. I'm going to give you guys my post fight breakdown. You guys see Joshua legs look broke like he got shot on Call of Duty. Daniel Dubois was teeing off on him against the ropes. Malicious, sharp shots from the IBF champion who retains his title. Joshua on all fours, similar to the fight with Andy Ruiz. Joshua showed heart. He was being counted. I think the referee, let me talk about the referee. The referee did a poor job here. Listen, the referee was terrible. To be honest, it seemed like familiar territory. We've seen this before, similar to Joshua versus Joseph Parker, where the ref seemed insanely biased for Joshua. That's what I seen here. Or another more recent example would be Devin Haney fight when he fought against Ryan Garcia, where Ryan was hurting this man and it was looking to the point of stoppage type of hurt. And the ref kept, oh, go to your corner. And Ryan was just like, he wasn't even close. So he could administer the count. And Harvey Dock in that Haney Garcia fight, it seemed like he was buying Devin time. That's what was happening here in this Daniel Dubois fight. There was one round where early in the fight, it looked like the fight should be stopped. And I thought he waved it off, but then he was trying to signal that Joshua slipped, which I don't know to be the case. Now, this was a disastrous night for Eddie Hearn, Riyadh Season, and Anthony Joshua particularly. Round one, you have Joshua who was kind of on the back foot. Dubois took the center of the ring, center stage, and was jabbing, beautiful. Daniel Dubois was you could tell that they've sparred before in the past, and I truly believe that had whatever experience was gained in that sparring, and I know sparring, but I think that helped Daniel Dubois because he seemed to immediately like almost understand the assignment from round one because he knew Joshua so well. So from those sparring sessions he had with Joshua, I truly believe that he was comfortable, and he probably hurt Joshua. I would definitely say he hurt Joshua in sparring. I mean, I wasn't there for it, but I believe he probably did. And I think there was reports on YouTube and whatnot where he said that. And I don't doubt that because he seemed like he knew what he wanted to do. And Joshua being a multi-time champion, I just expected so much more for him in terms of resilience. The best I could really give Anthony Joshua was, heart. But for me, if you guys follow my channel, I don't really spend too much time on the heart stuff because you're a boxer. You're supposed, most people are kind of showing heart at the elite level to pick themselves up. I mean, just the fact that you're a boxer, that's showing heart because that's a hard way to make a living, taking punches to the face for a living. But Joshua, he got done dirty in this fight. Round one, Daniel Dubois came out sharp, sending vicious shots, backing Joshua up. And the thing is, that was crazy for me, is that Joshua was in such trouble so early and so soon. And it looked like all of the fundamentals that we've known from Joshua were kind of out the window. And believe it or not, I picked Daniel Dubois. You can ask Icy, Ego's Army. I was like, man, Daniel Dubois, I think he gets this done. I keep telling y'all I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. And there's other people, I've said it on my channel, where I just seen Daniel Dubois winning this fight. The fact that so many people, they did like a poll at the beginning of this broadcast, and it said something like 87% of the people picked Joshua, and then 13% or something like that picked Daniel Dubois. And I thought that was egregious because I'm like, I don't know what you guys have watched. And it goes to show what Roger Mayweather said, rest in peace to the Black Mamba. Both of them. But what Roger said, most don't know ish about boxing. You guys, a lot of you go off of emotion, who you like better, and you even heard in the crowd. Daniel Dubois, even though he's British as well from the UK, Joshua was clearly the favorite. The crowd shut the F up by the end of the fight. It was almost like dead. They raved about having almost 100K in attendance in the audience, setting a record, which is good for them. But that crowd seemed like a library after Joshua got tossed around. I thought it was a beatdown, a clinical and surgical beatdown. The fight was not competitive. You can listen to me or you can listen to them. And I'm telling you what it is. The DAZN commentators were terrible. They were trying to sell this as this was some high level competitive fight. They were even referencing a legendary classic fight in Hagler and Hearns. And somehow, oh, I told you this could be like Hagler and Hearns. This fight was nothing like Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns. Maybe Marvin the Martian and another Tommy from Martin, rest in peace, or Tommy Pickles. But this was not no Hagler Hearns. Dubois asserted himself. He hurt Joshua multiple times in the early rounds. He dropped him several times before the unfortunate climactic knockout, right? And Joshua was getting tossed around. Joshua was backing straight out. His hands were low. In the first round in the clinch, he was looking at the clock, and I tweeted this. He's looking at the clock like, man, how much time do I have left? And there was a lot of time in the round. Listen, Joshua wears it on his face, his emotion. He does not have a good poker face. When Klitschko's hurting him, Andy Ruiz, he starts like losing it, his composure. I don't know how else to depict it and describe it to you, but he loses all his form. It's like being on a treadmill and then somebody's kicking it up and you're like panting and like you feel like you're going to die on the treadmill and you're losing all your shape and form. When you were walking on that treadmill or even power walking or maybe walking at the lower speed 3.8, you had a good little stride. But when you're tired, you got to learn how to not lose your whole form. So you're like when you're first on the treadmill, you're walking, you got a good stride, you're controlling your breathing, you're not mouth breathing, you're using your nose, and then when you're tired, you're like just sloppy and breathing like a horse. It's just crazy. And every time Joshua gets hurt, that's what I see. Joshua starts spilling around, his legs are bad, zero poker face. And I mean, I give him heart points or whatever for picking himself up because he was definitely hurt. And he was just doing weird stuff. And it takes a keen eye like Boxingego. Some of you guys probably didn't notice this. I'm watching the fight live, but I've been doing this at the highest level. I'm elite ego, the best in the business, and it's not even close. So I promise you, it's going to take some of you guys to go watch it again to see some of the things that I'm talking about. I was able to capture it in the first viewing live. For example, he was getting hurt and he was beating on his chest, like just real kind of distracted mentality. Like he had like already checked out, like doing it. Why are you doing this? And he's hurting you. You need to get back on the horse and, start getting a strategy and figuring out what you want to do. Like, I don't like stuff like that. When someone's beating on their chest, like it's to hype themselves up. He's like getting dropped, getting back up and beating on his chest, like I guess in an effort to hype himself up. But usually those things don't really work. Another thing that was super bizarre, where I think it was the round or close to the round where Joshua was getting bullied on the ropes and then Dubois was just sending vicious shots. And Dubois had Joshua where his butt was like kind of languishing on the ropes and he's like squatted down. And that's not body language wise, not good at all. You got this 6'6" behemoth, bigger than Daniel Dubois. He's a big guy, 6'6", and he's like low key sitting on the ropes like this, negating all of his height and reach. And he's curled up like on the ropes. But anyway, Daniel Dubois, if you go watch one of those sequences again, Daniel Dubois is like, trying to take him out, trying to clip him. And Joshua starts sticking his tongue out, but he's being hurt. Very bizarre stuff. We may have seen the best of Joshua. Daniel Dubois was sending wicked shots at him, had already heard him throughout the fight. Joshua was like, like, are you enjoying this? Like, this is not cool. Michael Jordan used to stick his tongue out when he would go to dunk, which is fly, which is, I don't know what they doing over there in the UK, but that ain't it. That is not it, to be getting crushed up by your opponent, and then you're sticking your tongue out as if it's a momentous, joyous occasion. Like, what? Who does that? So it shows me that Joshua, he really just loses his form when he's under duress. And that's what we've seen. His legs look horrible. And this, credit to Daniel Dubois, I can't say enough. He rebounded. People, including myself, believed he quit in the Joe Joyce fight. He has shut people up. Let's just say that. See how Joshua checked out? He's being administered the count. He's not even looking at the ref. So you probably could have stopped this fight sooner. Joshua's legs look horrible. This was not a competitive fight. Joshua was getting thrashed. And in the final round, Joshua had a desperation plea to try to get something going. So he sent a nice right hand, boom, and he hit Daniel Dubois, and it got Daniel Dubois' attention. I don't know how badly he was hurt, but then Joshua made such a rookie mistake for someone who's been at this level, and he seen Dubois react to the shot, and he got so gung-ho that he just tried to get like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You remember on The Predator, when the Predator started offing the soldiers, and then they just ran in the forest and had the Gatling guns. And they just all chopping down the trees and shooting. That's a movie, dog. And Arnold's going, get to the chopper now. Everybody's just shooting, and that's a movie. You don't want to do that in boxing and go full Arnold, and that's what Joshua did. He went full Arnold. And he just started marching forward off of this one shot where he finally got a reaction out of Daniel Dubois. And I get it. You're losing the fight. You're losing bad. You're looking at this as an opportunity. So you're like, hey, I'm trying to flood him. And then he did that. And then Daniel Dubois was crisp enough and obviously wasn't hurt too bad because he still had his faculties. And, as he was getting backed up, Joshua was just getting sloppy, rushing, getting greedy, and doing all the Arnold stuff. And he's trying to press the action, try to get a stoppage, force a stoppage. I tell you guys all the time, the quickest way to get knocked out in boxing is trying to force and push for a knockout when it's not there. That's exactly what happened. Rookie mistake from me, Anthony Joshua. He tried to force the action when he thought he had a little small opening, and Dubois just chin shot, just connected on the button. Joshua, murder she wrote. Legs was done. He wasn't even attempting to get up. He was just, this is the final scene. And then the ref counted him out. Ben Davison jumped in the ring. And look, the ref is like, dang, I gotta stop being biased and finally call it. Joshua, his face planted, butt in air, no diddy. And it was ugly from that point. Daniel Dubois, he's the winner. Shout out to Daniel Dubois. I try to tell y'all. The other thing is Joshua is low-key kind of like just a bit peculiar. I don't know how they doing in the UK now. I used to live there many, many years ago, but just a bit peculiar. And like his temperament is questionable to me. They were doing the ring walk, and this is Joshua. He looked mad, uncomfortable, and uptight. Like, look at his face. Like, he looks so tense. That is not good for a boxer. I've seen fights where Manny Pacquiao gets a knockout and he walk in smiling. I want to, he looking like a politician, blowing kisses, kissing babies. And Manny Pacquiao does not, he fights viciously, but he don't have to have a mug and frown. So it looked like Joshua, to me, was a bit nervous or rattled, or the pressure was getting to him. He was trying to curb the anxiety, something. but he just looked too tense. Daniel Dubois just looked, more like loose, like just ready to go. And we seen it. Congrats to Daniel Dubois. Big fights in store for him. In front of almost 100,000 people. He beat the bigger UK star. I don't really know what's next for Joshua. I don't know if you guys want to see a Wilder fight. Riyadh season, man. I want to say Riyadh season is not going to plan like Sean O'Malley. I believe he was the guy that the UFC wanted to win. He lost to Merab. This is Anthony Joshua looking crazy in this picture. Dubois knocking him out. I know they were trying to make the Joshua and Fury fight, I'm sure, if Fury came past the Usyk in a rematch. And now who wants to even see Fury versus Joshua at this point? It's just not as big. It's kind of like Kell Brook, Amir Khan. It's definitely not as big as if you would have struck while the iron was hot. This is the final scenes of the Joshua. It wasn't a competitive fight, like I said. Very one-sided. Dubois was on fire. Congrats to him. He lost to Usyk, came back with the Gerald Big Baby Miller win, stopped Philip Ergovich and Big Baby Miller, and now he just stopped Joshua, so he's back on the tear. The Usyk fight, you can argue for that body shot. I definitely think it was a body shot that Dubois landed. So Dubois, he didn't let his lowest moments, like the Joe Joyce fight, define him. And I got to give him a lot of credit for that, because the biggest opportunity against Joshua, he showed up. Also, big credit to Frank Warren, who is literally obliterating Eddie Hearn. They did a 5 versus 5 Riyadh season tournament, and Frank Warren won all 5 fights. Every single match. Ammo Williams, Eddie Hearn fighter, got knocked out by Hamza Shiraz or whatever, right? All 5 fights, Frank Warren's side, his crew won. Zhang, Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotions. Zhang beat Wilder by stoppage, etc., etc. Nick Bell, Frank Warren fighter, beat Ray Ford, Eddie Hearn fighter. So all 5 Eddie Hearn lost. And now a 6th fight, which was a big fight over there, the UK, 96,000 or whatnot. And then Dubois, the Frank Warren fighter, destroys and knocks out Anthony Joshua in a non-competitive fight. Again, I'm not going to lie to my audience and act like that was a competitive fight, because Joshua hurt Dubois for whatever reason in the final round. But then who cares, because he was brutally knocked out moments later. So it's like, to be honest, how much precedence can we give that? Yes, you clipped Dubois. You had him reeling back for a short period of time. He was clearly cognizant. And in the end, you lost that exchange and got knocked out to the point where you couldn't get up. So that's another Dubois round. I give you guys real boxing commentary. Real commentary. I don't highlight and like over glorify stupid stuff. Oh, he was winning. He was winning, and then what happened? And I just noticed this. Remember I told you I think they wanted Joshua to win? Look at Turkey's face right here. You see Turkey's face at the bottom left? He just looks super disappointed, because they didn't want Daniel Dubois to win. But that's boxing, the theater of the unknown. Another reason I give Daniel Dubois all the credit in the world is because not only did he knock out Joshua as the underdog, for whatever reason, he was a massive underdog, but Daniel Dubois, he battled his own demons with his own losses and people writing him off. And Joshua, with the matchmaking he had, he was on the tear with Ben Davison, and people were saying that Joshua was reborn and rejuvenated because he was beating Francis Ngannou viciously, and he was beating Otto Wallin by stoppage, something Tyson Fury couldn't do. And then, so this was like supposed to be Joshua rebooted 2.0, and he had been looking very sharp with Ben Davison until this fight. And that's why matchmaking matters. You put him in there with an inexperienced guy coming off a loss to Tyson Fury in Francis Ngannou, who's an MMA fighter. Joshua gets a vicious knockout. You put him in with Otto Wallin, probably lacking activity, definitely lacking like big league power, and Joshua's way bigger. You know, Joshua looked very sharp in that fight. You put him in with someone who sparred him, who has some attributes and power to offset Joshua, and good reach, and I told you that Dubois was faster than Joshua, and you see it's a whole different affair. So credit to Dubois for ending the Ben Davison era of just wins, because Joshua had been looking sharp based on who he was in there with. That's my breakdown. The realest breakdown. What really happened?